There are places in the wild where even predators tread carefully. Places where silence hangs thick in the air and the ground itself seems to remember violence. In these forgotten corners of the earth, two monsters roam, not in packs, not with stealth, but with the slow, thundering confidence of beasts who fear nothing. Not lions, not crocodiles, not even each other. One is a walking warhead, forged in horn and hide, eyes dull with the cold patience of something that doesn't need to chase, because nothing dares to challenge it. The rhinoceros. The other, deceptively still, is a leviathan of the river. It waits beneath the surface, eyes just above the waterline, ancient jaws clenched in silence. The hippopotamus. They do not often meet. Their paths don't easily cross. But when they do, when territories overlap and tempers boil, something terrifying unfolds. There are no roars, no warning, just a sudden, brutal collision of flesh and fury. This is not a duel. It's not a fight in the traditional sense. It's heavier than that, slower, more deliberate. It's like watching two natural disasters collide and waiting to see which one crumbles first. This is rhinoceros versus hippopotamus, a clash carved in bone and blood, a battle where the victor is the one who survives. Size. In the animal kingdom, it isn't just a number. It's a language. It speaks dominance. It commands space. It decides who yields and who destroys. Let's strip away the legends and look at the cold, unflinching anatomy of two of the most terrifying creatures ever to walk the earth. No fantasy, no myth, just raw biological fact. First, enter the rhinoceros. From a distance, it's almost surreal. A creature so massive, so unshakable, it looks like something left behind by the age of dinosaurs. Towering at nearly 6 feet tall at the shoulder and stretching over 12 feet long, the white rhinoceros doesn't walk. It thunders. Every movement sends a quake through the ground. With an average weight of 5,000 pounds, it's the size of a fully loaded pickup truck, only far less forgiving. Its body is packed with muscle, wrapped in armor-like skin nearly 2 inches thick, a leathery fortress forged through millions of years of evolutionary warfare. But it's the horn that draws the gaze. A monstrous spear of keratin, not bone, yet harder and deadlier than most skeletal weapons in the wild. It curves forward like the blade of some ancient war god, capable of growing over 5 feet long. This isn't a decorative crown, it's a precision weapon, used to gore, to impale, to maim. With a single charge, the rhino can drive that horn through metal, through bone, and through anything foolish enough to block its path. Now, meet its rival. The hippopotamus is deception in flesh. At first glance, it may seem awkward, even bloated, until you realize what you're actually looking at is a biological tank, a compact war machine disguised beneath folds of thick, scarred hide. It stands just over 5 feet tall, but don't let the shorter height fool you. Its body, though slightly shorter than the rhino's at around 11 feet, carries a heavier burden. Some males clock in at 8,000 pounds. That's a 1.5 tons heavier than the largest rhinos. It's not fat, it's not dead weight. It's solid, pounding mass, muscle, bone, and rage compressed into a low-slung titan. And then, there's the mouth. The hippopotamus possesses one of the most nightmarish bite forces in the animal kingdom, a staggering 1,800 pounds per square inch. Its jaws don't just open, they unhinge like a serpent's, nearly 180 degrees, exposing 20-inch canines, curved, sharpened, and stained with the remnants of battles past. These are not for chewing. They are for tearing, crushing, and delivering judgment. When a hippo bites, it's not an attack. It's an execution. So now, let's imagine this meeting. On one side, 5,000 pounds of charging force, tipped with a lance that can split a buffalo in half. On the other, up to 8,000 pounds of coiled fury, jaws wide, ready to bite down with the crushing force of a medieval siege weapon. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Speed. The rhino, despite its size, is a sprinter of terrifying capability. In short bursts, it can reach speeds of up to 30 miles per hour. That's faster than most horses. And when it runs, it doesn't dodge. It commits. Full tilt, all or nothing. A charging rhino is like a freight train made of skin and bone. And when it hits, it doesn't just knock you over. It erases you. But don't mistake the hippo's size for slowness. On land, it can reach 20 to 25 miles per hour. In water, it becomes something else entirely. Silent, weightless, untraceable. It glides just beneath the surface, only eyes and nostrils above water, waiting, watching. And when it lunges, it explodes like a torpedo of rage. So what we have are two animals that defy their own size. Fast, agile, shockingly explosive. And both of them have weapons that aren't just tools of survival. They're engines of death. This isn't David versus Goliath, it's Goliath versus Goliath. The rhino is a battering ram with a brain. The hippo is a biological guillotine with legs. And as the numbers stack, one terrifying truth becomes clear. They're evenly matched. Not just in power, not just in size, but in sheer capacity for violence. And when titans are equals, the clash becomes chaos. Africa is not a passive land. It doesn't forgive weakness. Its sun scorches, its droughts bite, and its predators don't sleep. In this harsh crucible of survival, the hippopotamus and the rhinoceros have carved out empires. Vast, unforgiving domains where their dominance is not questioned, only respected. The rhinoceros roams the open plains and dry savannas. It prefers space, room to breathe, to graze, and most importantly, to charge. These beasts are not jungle dwellers. They thrive in regions where visibility is high and escape routes are few because the rhino doesn't run from trouble. It becomes the trouble. Despite their bulk, they are surprisingly solitary. Most rhinos live alone, carving out territories that span dozens of square kilometers. Males in particular are fiercely territorial, patrolling their borders with methodical purpose, marking trees, soil, even trails with dung and urine as silent warnings to any would-be intruders. Cross those lines, and you'll be met with horns. They're not mindless. They're not constantly aggressive, but they carry within them a fuse so short it barely needs a spark. And when that spark comes, whether it's a rival, a human, or another large animal, it detonates with sudden, violent certainty. The hippopotamus, on the other hand, rules from the water. But don't mistake it for an aquatic recluse. The river is its throne room, but the surrounding land is its hunting ground. Hippos spend up to 16 hours a day submerged, their thick skin drying too quickly in the sun. But at dusk, they rise from the depths like ancient beasts, heaving themselves onto land to graze, to roam, to claim. And it's in this in-between world, between land and water, that the lines begin to blur. Territorial doesn't begin to describe the hippo. In the water, males govern with the cruelty of warlords. One dominant bull may control an entire stretch of river, with dozens of females and subordinates forced into obedience. Any male that wanders in uninvited is seen not just as a nuisance, but as an existential threat. And in hippo law, threats are drowned or disemboweled, no trial, no warning. On land, their violence is less predictable. Hippos may appear sluggish and disinterested during the day, but this illusion disappears when darkness falls. They've been known to travel miles inland, plowing through brush and thorn, driven by hunger or agitation. And when their path intersects with another creature, rhino, lion, human, it doesn't matter. The response is often explosive. Here's where it gets dangerous. Their territories don't always stay separate. In regions where dry seasons tighten the margins, when rivers shrink and watering holes become scarce, the rhino and hippo are suddenly forced into close quarters. The water draws them both. The rhino needs to drink. The hippo needs to live. And in this unforgiving limbo, the plains meet the riverbank. Titan meets Titan. At the water's edge, the rules collapse. Rhinos don't like to yield. Hippos refuse to back down. And neither is designed for diplomacy. There are accounts, rare but terrifying, of these two forces colliding at watering holes. A thirsty rhino approaches. A territorial hippo rises from the shallows, jaws already wide, churning water with its bulk. It doesn't charge right away. It glares. The rhino huffs, ears twitching, horn lowered just enough to signal warning. But if neither backs away, the standoff becomes a storm. This isn't predator versus prey. This is ego versus ego, power versus power. And the land itself seems to hold its breath, because when these two overlap, something ancient stirs. Not just a battle of territory, not just a fight for water, but a clash of empires forged in the oldest laws nature ever wrote: dominate or die. When the stare-down ends and the dust begins to rise, it's no longer about size. It's not about weight or speed or even territory. It becomes something more primal: how they fight, what they bring to the kill, the mechanics of mayhem. The rhinoceros doesn't circle, it doesn't bait, it doesn't bluff. It attacks like a living missile, full speed, full force, with one objective: impale and crush. The charge is everything. Head low, horn forward, legs pistoning beneath a 5,000-pound body like pistons in a locomotive. In the wild, this charge can be lethal not only to predators, but even to other rhinos. Territorial disputes among males often end in horrifying gore, with horns driven deep into the flanks, stomachs torn open, and bodies left heaving on the ground. The horn is not just sharp, it's devastating. Though made of keratin, the same substance as human fingernails, it's layered, compacted, hardened by constant grinding against rocks and bark. When driven with the speed and momentum of a rhino's charge, it becomes a piercing lance, capable of shattering ribs, rupturing organs, and delivering trauma no predator wants to face. The rhino fights with fury, but also precision, aiming not wildly, but strategically, going for soft spots: the underbelly, the throat, even the limbs. But once the charge is over, the rhino's moment is spent. If it misses, if the horn doesn't land clean, the creature must reset, reorient, charge again. Its combat style is like a wrecking ball on a chain, unstoppable in motion, but vulnerable in pause. The hippopotamus, in contrast, is a brutalist brawler. No need to wind up, no need for a run. Its weapons are always armed, its jaw, the hinge of hell. Capable of opening a full 180 degrees, the hippo's mouth is less a jaw and more a maw, a set of gates into oblivion. Those 20-inch canines, yellowed and curved like sabers, are not for slicing. They are for puncture and crush. Backed by a bite force of 1,800 psi, those jaws can crack bones like matchsticks. They don't need to aim. They just need to clamp down. Once those jaws close around flesh, escape is almost impossible. And unlike the rhino, the hippo doesn't need space. It can fight in cramped shallows, in thick bush, even submerged. It doesn't rely on momentum. It is momentum. It uses its sheer mass to bulldoze, to trample, to dominate every inch of space around it. Hippos don't feint. They don't posture. They attack in a blur of grunts, roars, and thunderous lunges, fueled by raw territorial hatred. But there's more. A hippo's skin, up to 2 inches thick, is tough, rubbery, and soaked in its natural blood sweat. A reddish fluid that acts as both sunscreen and antiseptic. Cuts don't always get infected. Wounds can seal fast. This makes the beast not only powerful, but unnervingly durable. Now, imagine this. The rhino charges, horn lowered, eyes locked. The hippo bellows, rising on short tree trunk legs, mouth yawning open in a grotesque challenge. The rhino hits first. If it lands the horn beneath the jaw, in the belly, in a gap between ribs, it could skewer the hippo's insides with brutal efficiency. But if it misses, if the horn glances off the shoulder or strikes too low, the hippo counters. And when it counters, it doesn't just bite. It consumes. It bites the leg, the side, the neck, any piece of flesh it can clamp. And it holds, grinding through tendon and muscle with prehistoric vengeance. Both can take punishment, but only one has a weapon that keeps cutting without the need to reload. So who wins? The answer isn't clean. It depends on who strikes first, where the battle happens, and who makes the first mistake. Because in this arena, one misstep isn't a loss. It's an obituary. Sun sinks low over the African savanna. Heat shimmers in waves across cracked earth. In the distance, the last rains have left a muddy pool, a lifeline in a dying landscape. The water reflects a bruised sky, and near its banks, two giants draw near. The rhinoceros arrives first, dust clinging to its skin, breath hot and labored. It's been walking for miles. It's thirsty, irritated, and alone. Its horn is chipped at the tip, stained from past confrontations. It lowers its head toward the pool. Then, the surface breaks. Water churns. A shape rises, broad, dark, glistening. The hippopotamus emerges slowly, as if summoned by some ancient law. Its eyes lock with the rhino's. There's no roar, no warning, just a moment of frozen time as Africa holds its breath. And then, chaos. The rhino doesn't hesitate. It charges, hooves tearing the earth, horn gleaming with deadly intent. It closes the gap in seconds. 2,000 pounds of pressure behind that forward-pointing spike. But the hippo is ready. It doesn't flinch. It lurches forward, opening its mouth wide enough to swallow a man whole. And just as the horn strikes, it twists. The horn rakes across the hippo's shoulder, slicing through thick hide, drawing blood, but not deep enough. The beast is too low, too solid, too used to pain. And now the jaws snap shut, right onto the rhino's front leg. A sickening crunch echoes across the plains. The rhino bellows, stumbles, tries to pivot. But the hippo doesn't let go. It pushes forward, goring with its tusks, dragging the rhino into the shallows, where mud saps its strength. The rhino thrashes. Blood mingles with water. One more charge, and the horn lands again, this time driving just below the ribcage, forcing a roar of pain from the hippo as its lung is punctured. Both titans are wounded now. The water is red. The ground shakes. But here's the brutal truth. The hippo, though bleeding, can still bite. The rhino, with a shattered leg and gushing wounds, can no longer run. Its charge is over. Its weapon, now bloodied and still, hangs low. And in this moment, it becomes clear. In a neutral setting, on dry land, with room to build speed, the rhino has the edge. Its horn, its velocity, its battering charge could easily disembowel a hippo before the jaws ever get close. It's the king of the charge, the master of forward death. But near water, in close quarters, in the hippo's element, the game changes. The hippo doesn't need space. It doesn't need a run-up. It just needs proximity. And then it unleashes hell. It fights like a trap, and once sprung, its prey rarely escapes intact. So who wins? In a single duel on dry earth, the rhino. In a cramped, muddy, water-flanked kill zone, the hippo. But nature rarely deals in fairness. It deals in opportunity, in instinct, in timing. And if forced to choose the more brutal killer, the more unpredictable tyrant, there's one beast that has earned a reputation not just for killing, but for overkilling. The hippopotamus has been known to kill for no reason. It crushes crocodiles. It flips boats. It dismembers intruders not for food, but for dominance. It is, pound for pound, the most territorial animal in Africa. So the final verdict? The rhinoceros is a warrior, a singular, thunderous brute. But the hippopotamus is a warlord, a cold-blooded juggernaut of territorial wrath. And in the clash of these prehistoric powers, the rhino may land the first blow, but the hippo is far more likely to deliver the last. In the end, this isn't just a battle between two animals. It's a glimpse into nature's raw, unfiltered violence, a place where survival isn't earned by power alone, but by the ability to strike, endure, and finish the fight. So now we turn it over to you. In a death match between horn and jaws, who do you think walks away breathing? Drop your verdict in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more savage showdowns from the wildest corners of the animal kingdom. Until next time, Stay untamed.